Have you ever stood at a crossroads in your life? I mean, maybe it's a huge career decision, something that could change everything.
Or it could be something smaller.
Right. Or maybe it's just a really complicated, emotionally charged email that you have to reply to, and you just feel completely paralyzed by the noise.
Mm.
And I'm not just talking about, traffic outside or the TV in the other room. I mean, the noise inside your head.
The internal chatter.
Exactly. All the conflicting advice, the pressure to be perfect, the anxiety about what might go wrong. It's that feeling of being, a house divided against itself.
It's a completely universal experience. I think it's one of the defining struggles of our time, really. We're just drowning in information, but at the same time, we're starving for wisdom.
Starving for wisdom.
We have more data than ever to help us make decisions, right? We can track our sleep, our steps, our productivity, and yet decision fatigue is at an all-time high. We're over-informed and under-clarified.
We have all the inputs, but the processor is just jammed. Yeah, and that is why I'm so excited to get into this today. We're tackling Chapter 6 of Ralph Waldo Trine's In Tune with the Infinite.
A great chapter.
It's titled Wisdom and Interior Illumination. And I know that can sound a little mystical, maybe a bit abstract.
It can, yeah.
But when you pair it with the cognitive science research and studies on habit formation we've pulled, it actually becomes incredibly tactical. And just before we get going, if this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
This is such a pivotal chapter. If the previous discussions were about, let's say, setting the foundation,
Right.
realizing we're connected to this infinite source, understanding the power of thought, this chapter is really the user interface. It's about how we actually access guidance from that source.
So moving from theory to practice.
Exactly, from theory to the actual mechanics of navigation.
Trine makes a pretty bold claim right out of the gate here. He basically says that every single person has access to a source of clear, infallible guidance. But, and this is the key part, most of us are just too loud to hear it. He calls it the voice of the soul, or interior illumination. So for those of us who like to keep things grounded, how do we translate interior illumination into something we can actually use on a Tuesday morning before a staff meeting?
That is the perfect question to ask, because illumination can, sound like a hallucination if we're not careful.
Okay.
When Trine speaks of interior illumination, he's not talking about magic or hearing booming voices from the sky. He's describing a specific cognitive, and I would say spiritual state.
Okay.
In modern functional terms, we could call this high-level insight or clarity or a clean perception of reality. Think about it like this. Our brains have different modes of operating. We have the executive network, which is the busy, analytical, list-making, and often stressed part of you. That's the part trying to solve a problem with brute force.
That's me at 3 in the morning, making pro and con lists, stressing about typos, trying to predict the future.
Precisely. That is the noise. But research into cognitive science, especially the default mode network, suggests that when we quiet that executive chattering, when we stop trying to force a solution,
Something else happens.
the brain can make these novel connections between seemingly unrelated pieces of information. That's where the aha moments come from. So Trine is arguing that wisdom isn't something you accumulate by reading 1,000 books.
No.
It's an inner clarity that rises up naturally when the mechanical noise of the mind just stops.
So it's less about adding more information, which is my usual go-to. I just Google more things.
Yeah.
And more about clearing the interference.
Exactly that. Trine describes it as the light that lighteth every man. It's already there. The problem isn't a lack of signal, it's an excess of static.
I don't like that.
Imagine a radio that's tuned perfectly to a station playing a beautiful symphony, but you're standing next to a jackhammer.
You're not going to hear it.
The music is playing, the signal is strong, but you can't hear a single note. Trine is teaching us how to turn off the jackhammer.
Oh, I love that image. We're all walking around with jackhammers wondering why we can't hear the music.
Ah.
So let's unpack the jackhammer. Let's talk about the static. Because if this wisdom is always available, why do I spend half my life feeling confused? What's blocking the signal?
Trine calls them distractions, or the Terrence will, which is his, vintage way of describing the lower reactive self.
Right.
But if we look at the supplementary research we pulled on stress and the nervous system, we can get really specific. We can call it the noise problem. And it usually comes down to 3 things: rush, resentment, and self-importance.
Okay, let's break those down. I have a feeling I'm guilty of all 3, probably before my first coffee. Rush seems obvious. We're all in a hurry.
But it's more than just moving fast. It's the internal sense of urgency. When you're in a state of rush, your nervous system is in a sympathetic state, fight or flight.
Ah,
Biologically, your body is prioritizing survival, not wisdom. You literally cannot access the higher reasoning centers of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, effectively when you're flooded with cortisol and adrenaline.
so you're blocked.
You're blocked from illumination by your own biology.
So when I feel like I have to make a decision right now or the world's going to end, that's actually the moment I'm least capable of making a good one.
That is absolutely correct. Wisdom requires a calm nervous system. It requires the parasympathetic system to be engaged. When you're rushing, you're just reacting to threats. You're not seeing opportunities.
Okay, so that's rush. What about resentment? Trine mentions this a lot. It seems like a major blocker for him.
Resentment is like static interference on that radio we talked about. If you're holding on to a grievance, he said this, she did that, your mind is looping on the past.
Ruminating.
Yes. You can't hear the guidance for the present moment because you're busy reliving a past injury. Trine says you have to draw the curtains on that stuff to hear the truth. You can't look forward clearly if you're staring backward in anger.
It just takes up all the bandwidth.
It occupies the very processing power you need for insight.
And the third one, self-importance. That sounds like ego, but give me the nuance there.
It is the ego's need to control the outcome. If I approach a problem thinking, I must look good, or I must be right, or I have to win this argument,
Then you're already biased.
you've already narrowed the channel. You're not looking for the true answer. You're looking for the answer that validates me, that creates a wall. You're filtering the data before you even get it. You're looking for a mirror, not a window.
A mirror, not a window.
Yeah.
That's a powerful distinction. You know, Trine has this wonderful story in this chapter that illustrates how to overcome this. The story of the desk in the city. Can you walk us through that? It sort of destroys the excuse that we need to be a monk on a mountaintop.
It's a great little anecdote. Trine talks about this man he knew who was incredibly intuitive and successful, a really high-level operator.
And he wasn't in a monastery.
Not at all. He worked at a desk in a busy city office, telephones ringing, people talking loudly, just the chaotic hum of commerce all around him.
Total chaos.
But Trine says this man could, at a moment's notice, draw the curtains of privacy around himself.
I love that phrase, draw the curtains of privacy.
It implies a mental boundary, not a physical one. He would create a portable silence. In the middle of all that chaos, he'd turn inward, ask a direct question to that inner guide, and then just wait passively for the answer. He wouldn't struggle for it. He wouldn't furrow his brow. He would just wait until the answer surfaced.
And then what?
And then he would act on it immediately.
That distinction, acting on it immediately, seems really important. Trine says dallying means obscuration.
Right. Because if you get a clear flash of insight, call this person or don't send that email, and you hesitate,
The noise comes back.
the noise rushes back in, you start second guessing, you start rationalizing, you think, oh, well, maybe that's silly. The illumination is often a whisper, and if you don't respect the whisper, it stops speaking.
It's a feedback loop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trust builds the signal strength.
Okay, this brings us to the tricky part. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. How do I know the difference between this interior elimination and just my own random thoughts?
Or your fear.
Or my fear. Or my ego trying to trick me. Because I have definitely had gut feelings that turned out to be just indigestion or, anxiety about a deadline.
This is the most critical part of the whole discussion. We have to have a way to test the signal. And Trine gives us a framework. When we layer some modern psychology and maybe some stoicism on top of it, we get a really robust safety check for this inner guidance.
Okay.
We can break it down into what this wisdom is not and then what it is.
Let's start with the negatives. What is it not? I think I often confuse panic for intuition.
Well, first, it's not panic. If the voice in your head is screaming, do this right now or everything will explode, that's not wisdom.
That's fear.
That's fear. Wisdom is calm. It might be firm. It might be urgent in the sense of do it now, but it's never frantic. It doesn't carry that jagged energy of anxiety.
Okay, so not panic. What else?
Second, it's not ego. If the guidance tells you to do something to make yourself look superior or to get revenge or to put someone in their place, that's the Terrence rule again. That's the lower self disguised as insight. And third, it's not fantasy.
Right.
It's not going to tell you that you can jump off a roof and fly or that you should bet your life savings on some random number.
Trine is very clear about that. He says reason shouldn't be set aside.
Exactly. He says reason should be illumined. So here's the test. Criterion first. Does it increase calm, honesty, courage, and goodwill.
Okay.
True wisdom never asks you to compromise your integrity. If the voice suggests lying or manipulating or hiding something, that is not the interior guide.
Makes sense.
Criterion second, does it stand up to reason? Like we said, if it defies the laws of physics or basic common sense, be very, very careful. Wisdom transcends reason, but it rarely contradicts basic facts.
And the third.
Criterion third, does it require clean action, not drama? Wisdom usually suggests the next simple, direct step. Apologize. Start the project. Wait. It rarely suggests a chaotic, dramatic overhaul that hurts people around you.
I really like that distinction between clean action and drama. Drama is usually the ego wanting attention.
Yeah, and an audience.
Clean action is just
Yeah.
getting it done. It's efficient. Let's make this practical. I want to run through 3 scenarios: work, relationships, and habits. And let's apply this illumination approach.
Good idea.
Okay, scenario 1, work. You get a rude email. It's passive-aggressive. It questions your competence. Your face gets hot. You want to hammer out a reply that just puts them in their place. That's the reaction. What's the illumination approach?
The reaction is the noise. That's the sympathetic nervous system kicking in. You feel attacked, so you want to attack back. The illumination approach is to pause.
Draw the curtains.
You draw the curtains for 10 seconds. You quiet the need to win. And you ask, what is the next right step? And usually the wisdom will say something like, wait 24 hours.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or call them on the phone and ask for clarification because tone gets lost in text. Or simply ignore the tone and just answer the question. It shifts you from defending your ego to solving the problem.
And the result is you de-escalate. You maintain your dignity.
And you probably save your job. You don't become the thing you're angry at.
Right. Okay, scenario 2, relationships. You're in a difficult conversation with a partner or a friend. You're digging your heels in. You know you're right. You have the facts on your side.
Again, the blockage here is self-importance. The illumination approach aligns with Trine's concept of goodwill for all. So you ask the inner guide not how do I win, but what does this situation need?
Or what does love require here?
Exactly. And the answer might be listen, or admit you were scared, or just stop talking. It's about speaking truth with calm and respect. Trine talks about creating a psychic aura of goodwill.
And what does that do?
When you come from that place, which requires that inner silence, it often disarms the hostility in the other person. You're not fighting their fire with your fire, you're bringing water.
It's so much harder to do in the moment, but so much more effective. It totally changes the geometry of the conflict.
It does.
All right, scenario 3, habits. This is where that supplementary research on neuroplasticity is so interesting. We often try to change our lives by sheer force of will. I'm going to work out for 2 hours every single day starting tomorrow.
That's the rush and intensity mistake. It's usually born of self-judgment, not wisdom. You hate where you are, so you try to just jump to the finish line.
Yeah.
The illumination approach asks, what is the simplest, consistent support I can give myself? Wisdom understands how we're actually built. It aligns with the research on habit stacking.
Linking a new behavior to an old one.
Right. So instead of this massive overhaul, wisdom suggests just put your running shoes on when you get home. It focuses on the sustainable step, not the impressive leap. It's gentle, but it's relentless.
I want to pause here and actually do this. Trine is so big on practice, not just theory. If we just talk about this, it stays intellectual. So we put together a little guided exercise based on Trine's method of entering the silence.
Let's do it. We're calling it the illumination check, and you can do this right now, wherever you are, unless you're driving, of course.
Please don't close your eyes if you're driving.
Yeah.
But you can do this at your desk, just like the man in Trine's story.
Absolutely.
Okay, step first. Quiet the mind, just for a moment.
Yeah.
Stop scrolling. Stop planning. Just breathe. Let your physical body settle.
Step next. Name the decision you are avoiding. Be specific. Is it a difficult phone call, a project you're procrastinating on? Just bring it into your mind, but don't wrestle with it. Just place it there gently.
Step next. Ask the clean question. What is the next right step? Not the whole 10-year plan, just the next step. And ask it gently, like you're asking a trusted friend.
Step next. Listen. Just listen for the simplest action that matches your integrity. And remember, it is often a whisper, not a shout. It will feel like relief or a quiet yes. It might be surprising in its simplicity.
Step next. Test it. Is it honest? Is it safe? Does it feel like that clean action we were talking about? Does it bring a sense of resolve?
And step final, do it. Do it in a small way today. Trine is so adamant about this. If you get the guidance and you ignore it, the channel closes. You have to act to keep the signal clear. Action is the confirmation of the insight.
That part about acting immediately is huge. It builds trust with yourself. It proves to your own brain that you're actually listening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even with this framework, people get tripped up. So we identified 5 common mistakes people make when trying to access this inner wisdom. Let's run through them so we can spot them before we fall into them.
Good plan. Mistake 1 is the big one. Confusing fear with intuition. We've mentioned this, but it really bears repeating. Fear feels hot, urgent, frantic. It creates tunnel vision. It says run or attack.
And wisdom.
Wisdom feels cool, expansive, and steady. If you feel like you have to decide in the next 5 seconds or you'll die, that's fear. Take a breath. Step away.
Okay. Mistake 2. Demanding the whole map. I am so guilty of this. I want to know where the decision leads in 5 years.
Yeah.
I want guarantees.
But the inner guide is a flashlight, not a floodlight. It only shows you the path for the next few feet. Trine calls it manna for the day.
Yeah.
You get enough guidance for today. You have to trust that tomorrow's guidance will come tomorrow.
If you demand the whole map, you'll just stay paralyzed.
Exactly, because you can't see around the corner.
Mistake 3. Seeking external validation first. Before we sit in silence, we text 5 friends, poll our spouse, check Google. We crowdsource our wisdom.
And Trine says, enter the inner chamber. If you poll everyone else first, you're just filling your head with their noise, their biases, their fears, before you've even heard your own truth.
So ask yourself first.
Ask yourself first. Then, if you need to, consult others. But anchor in your own insight first. Be the captain of your own ship before you ask for weather reports.
I like that. Mistake 4. Being too busy to listen. I don't have time to sit in silence. I have too much to do.
The research on the 5-minute silence shows that even a tiny pause can reset the brain. You cannot hear a whisper in a hurricane. If you think you're too busy to listen, you're actually too busy to make good decisions.
So you'll just be reacting.
Reacting, making mistakes, and then spending twice as long fixing them. Silence is an efficiency tool.
That's a great reframe.
Yeah.
And mistake 5. Ignoring the answer because it is too simple. We want the answer to be complex and intellectual. We want a complex solution for our complex problems.
But the truth is usually incredibly simple. Apologize, start, stop, go home, write the page.
And we ignore it.
We ignore it because our sophisticated minds think, it can't be that easy, but it usually is. The execution might be hard, but the direction itself is simple. Wisdom distills, it doesn't complicate.
So if we zoom out here, what does this all mean? We're looking at a way of living that is just fundamentally different from the frantic, reactive pace of modern life.
It's about moving from a reactive state to a receptive state. Trine teaches us that wisdom is not a commodity you buy, it's a capability you cultivate. It requires quieting that mechanical noise of the mind. It feels like calm clarity, not urgent panic.
And it has to be tested.
It must be tested against reason and goodwill. It has to be safe and kind. It provides the next step, not the whole future.
And it grows stronger.
It grows stronger with use. The more you listen and act, the clearer the signal gets. And most importantly, it is available to everyone. You don't need to be a mystic. You don't need a degree. You just need to be willing to shut the door on the noise for a moment.
And that leads us perfectly into what we're going to cover next time. Because once you start accessing this wisdom, once you stop fighting the noise and start hearing the signal, you begin to experience a very specific state of being.
That's right.
It's the result of this alignment.
That's exactly right. In our next session, we're going to explore the realization of perfect peace. We're going to look at how this practice of interior illumination leads to an unshakable internal state that holds up even when the world around you is going crazy. It's about becoming the eye of the storm.
You won't want to miss that. Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.